Hey, Richard Bryce here, Tennis Hacker. In this video, I want to break down the most common wide forehand footwork pattern because I see that it's something that a lot of players struggle with. Hopefully the video will be helpful to you. If it is, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel before, it's much appreciated if you could do that as well. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but I do have to start with a split step because it's so important. So we want to be starting with a split step, which means we're going to be landing just after our opponent makes contact. So then we can store elastic in our muscles and then move more quickly and powerfully out to the wide ball. Key feature of the split step is going to be your width. The more narrow you are, the harder it's going to be to move quickly to the side. So as a minimum, you want to be thinking a racket's width, but if you're more flexible and strong enough to allow it, much wider than that is going to be more beneficial, because what we're going to do next is a drop step where our foot drops underneath our hip. So we go from here, the foot drops underneath the hip, so the ball of the foot is landing underneath the hip, the shin is pointing back like that, and that then allows us to drive into a crossover step. And if you don't have a good enough split step, if you stand like that, you're then having to step out, which one is slower and two increases the chances of you pulling your hamstring. So what we want to do is land wider, drop the foot underneath, and then push out. And then from there, it's that crossover step. So I bring the foot underneath, I'm now pushing into the ground and crossing over with the other leg, and hopefully that's going to take you as far as you need to go, and then you'll be in position to get to balls that are out at the sideline. Now, the key thing that you need to do when you're doing this is you need to make sure that you're getting your preparation, your upper body unit turn at the same time. So as you drop your foot underneath, the upper body is going to start to turn. So you're going to start to bring it around. And then as I drive through the floor or into the floor, and I'm doing the crossover step with the other leg, I'm finalizing my unit turn. So I'm taking my racket into there so that by the time I land, I'm now loaded into this outside leg, and then I can start the swing by driving through this hip, which is going to initiate the racket drop or the racket lag. And then from there, I'm going to finish with a mogul step. Now there's a few different options that people might use on these wide forehands. Sometimes you might end up doing an outside hop. If it's really extreme, you might end up with a running forehand, but the most common footwork pattern is going to be a mogul step. So for a mogul step, you start the swing, you make contact, and then as you're doing that, the other leg comes across. So as I'm doing that, the other leg comes across. I'm landing on my outside leg. If you look at the angle of my shin, and then I can start my recovery. So if I put all that together, it looks like this. So split step, drop step, crossover step, mogul step, recovery step. Split step, drop step, crossover step, mogul step, recovery step. So you might need to watch this video a couple of times, but then it's a case of getting out there and practicing it and doing enough repetitions, because you're not going to be able to do it once or twice and then it'll happen automatically in a match. You have to do it lots of times over and over again until it becomes a habit, and then it can happen more naturally when you play. Now, two key pieces with this are going to be the spacing. So you have to be thinking about where the ball is so that you set up the right distance from the ball, that you start your swing the right distance for the ball, because often players can actually overrun this and they end up being too close. So as the ball's coming towards you, you have to think about your spacing, think about when you need to start your swing. And sometimes that means you're going to push out further, but obviously you can modify it. Sometimes you'll just be doing a smaller push because you don't have to move as far. And then the other thing that you really have to think about is starting your swing at the right time. So we've got the timing component of, in relationship to the flight of the ball, and when the ball's bouncing, when and where do we need to start the swing. And obviously that's going to vary slightly dependent on the flight of the ball, but those are the things you have to think through as you're working on it. Okay, hopefully that's been helpful to you. Now, if you'd like to learn more about footwork, I've got a free program that I've created for you to help you. I'll place a link up there, and I'll place a link down in the description so you can start working on it. If you have any questions about the footwork pattern that I've broken down here, or any other footwork patterns, leave me a comment down in the comment section. I'll try to get back to people as quick as I can, and I'll catch you next time.